that a musician would be performing to a hideous sounding track at any point in the recording stage process, to me, is absurd. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. More studio talk. Something I'm going to come back to probably repeatedly. Talk about some stuff you know, and you talk about some stuff you don't know here and there, just for the hell of it. But studio talk I always can get into, especially after 3 coffees and a little bit of exercise and some work and a shower. I'm ready to go. This is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I talk with some friends of mine about, is flow in a session, in a recording session. Not so much in a mix session, because the mix session is like an isolated thing. You know, you're by yourself. You might be with the client or the artist at the end. There was always a big debate. Guys wanted to just be mix engineers. Myself, I liked recording a ton. Now, I like mixing. I think that's the finishing touches kind of thing, but I always approached sessions as recording sessions were really why I got into it. I guess it was the making of art. Working with musicians and working with other producers and working with talent, feeling the process and getting that energy from that process. Some of this is going to be strictly for musicians and engineers, but you know, what else am I kind of going to talk about here besides the fact that I can't keep a fiddle leaf fig alive? It's driving me crazy. Anybody has any tips, put them in the comments. If you've never been on other people's sessions, either as a musician or, you know, a side musician, if you've never been behind the microphone as an artist, if you've only worked by yourself, it's a difficult thing to get a grasp on, that there is a flow, a workflow that's involved with working with musicians and capturing performances and recordings. I mean, I can give you some broad strokes as to my thought process as it went along. And a lot of it, I had the advantage, to me, it was an advantage that I was recording myself very early in my career. Like, you know, playing guitar and recording on a limited recording system, whether that was a 4-track cassette recorder or whatever. But I got the feel of what was a good flow. And there's going to be some nuances to how I can explain this. For instance, if I'm recording a vocalist. Now, I will put this out there that, like, I could tell you exactly what equipment I use on something, and I'm going to get into that just for the hell of it somewhere down the line. I could tell you exactly what microphone, mic pre, compressor, EQ, I could give you the setup. I could say, like, here's the exact rig. This works perfectly on this person's vocal. Record them. I am very confident that your session will be different than mine. Now, you might have a fantastic session. You might conquer the world with the recording that you make. But nobody works the same. And that is a big part of the chemistry of working with artists and not working with artists. Some real, you know, gray areas to try and explain it, and I'm gonna try and make it as clear as possible. I'll give you examples. When I'm recording a vocal, or a guitar player, or a bass player, or a drummer, I always start the music from a consistent time back to before where the punch is. So, of course, it's different if you're recording from the top and you just say, okay, is everybody ready? And you record, or you're recording from the top of a song for the vocalist, for the vocalist to take a full take all the way down. You're just going to hit record and say, like, you know, have at it. But let's just say for overdubbing, to me, one of the most important techniques is making sure that there's a consistent flow to the tempo of the song, where you're starting playback with reference to where the punch-in is. Is that technical for some people. I'll just say this much. If the punch in is somewhere in bar 13, depending on the tempo of the song, I will have a 2-bar count in. So the playback will start at bar 11, and then the punch in is somewhere in bar 13. If it's a fast tempo song, you might want to be back just a little further, maybe a bar and a half. But it's never, the music is never started from anywhere but a downbeat or on time. And when I stop the music, it's always exactly, or within, milliseconds on time. So there's a constant feel of tempo, and the tempo is never lost, and the feel of the actual rhythm is never lost. There's no hyper, not even giving the artist a little bit of breathing room to get a feel for the rhythm of the song, and then just punching him in, punching him out, and then stopping the tape. And I'll refer to it as tape, even though it's, stopping the recording, because I know that, no one's working on tape anymore, unless they're crazy. There's some of that stuff that is sort of a habit that I built into myself, probably from recording myself. And a lot of you out there are recording yourselves. This sense of rhythm in a session with regards to the song is, to me, very important. And I never had a vocalist or an instrumentalist complain that things weren't feeling good rhythmically with the flow of how we were going about doing the overdubbing. I think that if you're not doing everything musically, including the engineering, then the act of creating music is going to get screwed up. And I'm using screwed up as a non-beepable word. One of the reasons that mixing was, to me, a little bit of a part of just being a recording engineer was that while I was recording, I'm always mixing. So from instrument one, the first track recorded to whatever, it's constantly being built as a radio record ready track. There is no let's record this while it sounds, let's do overdubs while the song sounds like shit, but we know that when I mix it, it's going to magically transform. I don't feel as though that's a way to create good music. It needs to sound and feel right as you're constructing it and sculpting it and going about the creative process. I don't see how anybody works that way. I've never been around a good project, whether I was someone doing overdubs on something or whatever. Like the idea that a track, that a musician would be performing to a hideous sounding track at any point in the recording stage process, to me, is absurd. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous.